We are welcome everybody to this evening's council meeting. And I've got a motion here to adopt the agenda. Can I get mover and seconder? Okay, Laurel, yeah, and there'll be a couple of additions. Second, 5, okay. We have 6 delegations. Mr. Gerlach will not to attend the meeting tonight. He was unable to bring him from his camp today. He's foggy on the river. And number CE for council approval regarding the small communities employment sub. Daryl will let you know a little bit about that when it comes to that. Any other changes or additions that any councilors want to see on the agenda tonight? Yes.
What about the issue about the crossing the border?
19 issue. Any other additions? All right then, motion. Yes, Councilor.
My name was spelled wrong.
All right, so motion moved by Councilor to adopt the agenda of regular meeting RM12-2020 as amended. All in favor? All right, that's 8 in favor, none against. So the motion is adopted and the agenda is complete. All right, so that you know of. And of course, like always, if something comes up later on, you can certainly declare at that time if it becomes evident that you are in conflict. So yeah, I removed the councilor absences motion. It's not applicable to tonight since we had full quorum delegation. As I mentioned, Mr. Gerlach could not attend. So we have items under 7, starting with the committee of the whole meeting, 03 March 9, 2020. Can I get a mover and seconder to adopt the motion? Or to adopt the minutes of those meetings? Okay, I'll go with Councilor Bellefontaine, moves, second, okay, Councilor McPherson. So, moved by Councilor Bellefontaine, seconded by Councilor McPherson, that council approve the minutes of Committee of the Whole meeting 03 of March 9, 2020. You wanted to say that your name was spelled wrong? Were you at this meeting?
My last name, yes.
On these minutes?
No. I already talked to him, so, okay.
But where was that name change? Changes, all in favor? 8 in favor, none against. Motion carried, and minutes are. Second set of minutes, I've got a motion that reads that council approve the minutes of regular meeting 08 of April 20, 2020. Can I get a mover and a seconder for that? Okay, got 2 councilors, Councilor Hassan, Councilor Morrow. So that council approve the minutes of our MOE of April 20, 2020 as presented, unless somebody has some changes about those minutes. None? Okay, all in favor? All right, that's 8 in favor, none against. Motion's carried. Next set of minutes. 7C, I've got a motion that reads that council approve the minutes of special meeting -05. May 28, 2020. Mover and a seconder. Can I get a mover for that motion? Okay, I'll go with Councilor Lafferty and Deputy Mayor Antoine. That council approve the minutes of special meeting 05 of May 28, 2020 as presented, unless there's some changes, concerns.
Councilor OJ is mentioned in the motion appointing him, so we would make that change in those minutes, your worship.
Okay. We'll just correct his name spelling. So that motion will now read as amended instead of as presented. So any other concerns? All in favor? 8, 4, none against. Motion carried. The minutes adopted as amended. 7D, motion that council approve the minutes of regular meeting 11 of June 1st, 2020. Can I get a mover and a second? Okay, I have Deputy Mayor Antoine and Councilor Hassan. Hi there.
Again, so name changes as well.
Okay, so as amended, that would be correcting Councilor OJ's last name. So, any other changes, corrections? All right, that council approve the minutes of RM11 of June 1st, 2020 as amended. All in favor? 8 in favor, none against. Motion's carried. And minutes are adopted. Last set of minutes we have for you is Committee of the Whole of 6, and a motion reading that council approve the minutes of Committee of the Whole of 6 of June 8, 2020. A mover and a seconder, please. Mover, okay. Councilor McPherson, seconded, okay, Councilor Belmonte. Again, the council prepare or approve the minutes of Committee of the Whole of 6 of June 8, 2020. Yes, Councilor Hassan.
On page 2, on other matters, Councilor Josie, this, I don't know.
Number phone, other matters, Counselor.
Other matters,
Whose name is that?
Hmm.
On page 19.
That should be Councilor OJ.
Okay. So that's just another
yeah, okay, yeah, that's right.
correction there. So as amended again.
How is the name spelled?
AUGIER.
So, as amended with the change of name, correct spelling, again, for Councilor OJ. Any other corrections or changes? All right, show of hands, in favor? Okay, we got 8. And none against, motion carried, minutes are adopted. And mayor's reports. Well, nothing really new to report. I'm not sure if we've received official correspondence back from ENR regarding the concerns that we wrote to the department about with wildfire protection. I'm getting reminded by some citizens that we should follow up with the Minister of Finance regarding a website for liquor restrictions now that we're into phase 2. Just to find out what the government's plan on that would be, because we did write a letter after having received a petition, and that's been a while now. So as a follow-up, I will undertake with administration to try to get an answer back on that. HO Education Council, PD. His last name Rouleau. And in support of the project vision, well, it was really the vision for education, I guess, and the project that we were looking at and starting as part of that. There was a support letter written. Yeah, other than that, I don't have anything new. Any questions? Yes, Deputy Mayor?
could you give us a report on the meeting of last Friday with the premier about the COVID?
There wasn't a meeting last
Oh, okay.
Friday, and actually I wasn't able to attend our last emergency planning committee meeting. Hay River, on driving over to Hay River on Tuesday. So Darrell might be able to fill you in on that one a little bit on his report. I was going to bring up a little bit of information, but I'm just going to wait till it comes up on the agenda. Okay, well, thank you. And now we have SAO White's report.
Thank you, Your Worship. With respect to the meeting last week on Tuesday, it was pretty eventful update of different departments, where we're at with the proposed, what people were thinking was going to be phase 2 coming in later, how some of us were moving forward with that. The biggest discussion item was the comments from the Premier and the comment about anybody can enter the territories, and big discussion on that. I think there's been some communication from the territorial government, maybe to clarify that a little better for folks. That was the major points from that discussion. We are continuing to have ongoing working group meetings with respect to evacuations and moving through those details with people that are part of the evacuation process and how we'll do that. So as we move through that and we get more information and we have something to present, we'll bring that back to council, have a look at, and tweak it from there. Just some restoration work to do with respect to the church parking lot, so that will be completed as well. Water and sewer underground works, preliminary work has started with some people from Rose, who some of those folks are up here from down south. They've been through the protocols required of the territorial government for their work. So that'll be ongoing. Chip sealing, the prep work for that is ongoing right at this point. And there's some other concrete works that we're going to be doing. Curling slab and some work over the water plant. And so that'll be ongoing through the summer. Just for council's information, after tonight's meeting, I'll be leaving for a little bit in July. I'll be heading to my home. And we'll be back, so I won't be here for a few meetings, but we'll be finance manager Coffee will be acting in my place, and Kevin will be around as well, and I will be only a phone call or email away, so that's the plan at this point. So anything changes, I will certainly advise you all. That's all we're doing.
Thank you. Any questions for our SAO? All right. Thank you. We do not have any items under table items and old business. We do have one under committee minutes and recommendations, and I have a motion that reads that council approve the recommendations of the Recreation Committee as outlined in the minutes of the meeting held Thursday, June 11th, 2020. I'm going to move her in a seconder and then we'll discuss. Okay. Councilor Bellefontaine moves. Motion seconded by Deputy Mayor Antoine. And has everyone had a chance to take a look at those minutes of the Recreation Committee? Any discussion? Any concerns? Basically, the way the the minute or the motion reads, it's not just approving the minutes, it's also approving the recommendations in the minutes. So these are things that will move ahead, all right? Okay, then, so I'll just read that again, that council approved the recommendations of the Recreation Committee as outlined in the minutes of the meeting held Thursday, June 11, 2020. No more discussion? Okay, show of hands, all in favor? That's 7. Any against? Or abstentions? 1 abstention. 7-4, motion's carried.
Just get an update on that, Your Worship. Fitness center did open today. A little slow, however, we did have good movement on memberships, and expect that to continue. And I don't think we ever had more than 4 or 5 in there today. I don't think. So that's where we're at.
Under 11, we got 3 items. First one is contribution agreement with ITI. And we have a motion that reads, the council approve and sign the contribution agreement under the Tourism Infrastructure Contribution Program to provide $40,000 in funding towards the Ski Hill Lookout project. Can I get a mover and seconder, and then we'll discuss. Mover, Councilor Bellefontaine. Seconder, Councilor Hassan. All right, discussion. SAO White, did you want to give a quick overview of what is entailed in the contribution agreement?
So, just a continuation of our trail project that the floating dock is one of the elements of that plan. This is a project that will see some development up on top of the ski hill, a lookout, some, we'll call it landscaping, some restoration of land up there. And so our assistant SAO, Kevin Corrigan, will be moving forward with an RFP. So this will fund, we think, a major portion of what we anticipate the cost of this work would be. And we also have ISIP funding to sort of help us along the way as well. So very little cost to the village. That's all the funding partners are sourced, and should be a benefit for the community.
Just a question with the RFP, or how is it being evaluated, or is that going to, that decision, how will that decision get made?
Tim and I were talking about that today, and it would be, we anticipate mostly the locals that will bid on the project, and so long as they understand the scope of what our expectations are, and we may have a pre-meeting with potential bidders to just drive that point home. So.
Okay. And is it, I mean, this is not, we're not looking at the RFP. Are you going to show the wording of the RFP to a public works committee or anything like that?
We'll make that RFP once it's developed.
Yeah. Just because it's not a straightforward contract, and if you're saying RFP and it's point scoring and things, I think it'd be just useful to take a look at that for sure. All right. Any other concerns, questions? All right, so once again, just so everybody knows, that council approved and signed the contribution agreement under the Tourism Infrastructure Contribution Program to provide $40,000 in funding towards the Ski Hill Lookout project. All in favor? That's 7 or 8. How about against? Abstain? Okay, then did everybody vote in favor? I didn't quite get, everybody did? Okay, all right, 8 in favor, None against. Motion carried. And that project will start to move ahead. Under 11B, we have a motion that reads, the council move forward with an expression of interest letter to Arctic respect to engaging Arctic Energy Alliance to undertake feasibility studies to determine the potential for biomass heating infrastructure for village-owned facilities. Can I get a mover and a seconder for that? A mover, Councillor Hassan. Second, okay, Councillor Sigiston. Any discussion on that? And that comes from the meeting of the other night where Mr. Erasmus presented for Arctic Energy Alliance, the potential for a partnership looking forward at a biomass project in the community. It takes a letter though to indicate our interest. And at this stage, what would we really be undertaking to do other than just engage?
Basically, Arctic Energy would be committing to, let's say, for instance, we're going to look at the town shop and school initially. They would be looking at what would it make sense to look at biomass for those buildings based on our present heating costs, what they anticipate heating costs would be with biomass pellets, and factoring all that in along with the capital costs and determining whether it's something that the village may want to pursue. And as we move through each of the milestones, that information will also be coming back to council to digest and see if in fact they did want to move forward.
It's just a first step, and it's our only undertaking is really to share information and help to develop the feasibility of the project. Okay. Any other concerns or questions? All in favor then of that motion? Councillor? Yes.
I was just curious to know if there had been quite a bit of research done on that matter when Norm Priegel, a long time ago, they did a whole bunch of research and compiled a considerable amount of information, I understand, on the matter, the viability of it and whatnot. And I don't know if any of that stuff is still around, but maybe, being a long history of it, that maybe we could look at what was said back then and find information that might exist from that, just so that we're not, spinning our wheels or duplicating the efforts and see what may have been learned in that process.
Right. I think, yeah, there will be some potential to share information with him. He may actually end up becoming one of the people bidding on the project. So it might be that it's better to develop the project without him. You know what I mean? I know he's a supplier of those products.
Oh yeah, well, I was just thinking about in the, not
has-
necessarily one, but in the corporate
Yeah,
body,
Yeah.
providing the information to the municipal corporation.
right. It's good to make that point, so there might be something there.
That's where I start, right? I find out what's been done before, do a literature review, or find out what's been done before. And, just to start, a little place to start. You might learn something up front that saves you from having to do a whole bunch of research later, that something.
Okay, thanks for that. All right, any other comments?
Yeah, actually, there's a successful project that's working really well at Fort Providence, right? I had Jeff Phillips is the son of the man who built the Social Inn in Fort Providence, and they have been heating and generating their own electricity for their entire operation for quite an amount of time. Now, in any initiative where you're looking into that, alternative energy and alternative fuel and alternative ways of saving money, I think that talking to a person like that, maybe he could do a presentation. There are some alternatives out there to biomass. What I'm getting at is that pellets are subject to kind of like, they're sort of a little monopoly. So the price can go up and down, the price can fluctuate in pellets, and they're kind of unstable, right? And so that is one of the things you can wind up getting set up for, okay, there's two things. One of them is that I know the guy who maintains the pellet boilers in Mexico for the Clecho, or they have a whole bunch of them there. It's a big operation. And he said that basically that they're a maintenance nightmare for one. But then after having talked to Jeff Phillips regarding the matter, from SSI Micro, and discovering that they have a working system that provides all their heating and all their electricity for all the buildings. I mean, you know, do you want to play around, or do you want to go right to it and save some money? Or do you want to play with it and then get rolled by a bunch of consultants, and then slow rolled by another bunch of consultants, and then take it to the cleaners by, you know what I mean? Because that's what the pellet industry has kind of become in the Northwest Territories. It's kind of a racket. There are power cogeneration methods of bringing heat and power to a building that are cheaper and more efficient than pellets. The overall, so this is the thing, is biomass is one thing, right? But to expand the scope of that, not only just pellets, but the actual biomass. That's what they were talking about before with North Peoples. Is they're talking about a machine where you can load it with dry brush.
Okay.
You know, I mean, it's completely different. It's revolutionary for us. We've got so much brush around. Look at the brush that they throw at the dump. These big giant piles of brush.
Okay. You make a good point, and maybe SAO White in expressing the interest, we could also indicate that we are not just exclusively looking at wood pellets, but other forms of biomass and perhaps cogeneration as well, if there are options. It's, I mean, these guys are the experts in their field, let's say, the Arctic Energy, and if they don't know enough, we'll certainly.
I was, the reason I bring it up is because I had been to Arctic Energy Alliance asking them about power cogeneration, and they had no idea about it. I said, well, it's the only actual viable working thing that exists right now. Right? There is no alternative that actually works except for power cogeneration. So that's what I'm saying. If you want to go down the road of experimental, costly, inefficient, then you'll wind up with pellets. But if you want to go down the actual modern, you know, this is what an actual real person who's really trying to save money does, is they go to power cogeneration unit that produces all the power and heat in the building. That's a modern system, right? And that's what I'm trying to get at, is one that's going to be expensive, wasteful, consultants, and then problematic after it's installed.
Yeah. Well, yeah, Councilor Lafferty?
Yeah, it may be a good idea to get Jeff Phillips over here for, just to give us an idea of what he's doing. And he's just a genius. He came to our VFN meeting there a few months ago, and we just couldn't keep up with him. Some of us, he's just amazing. He's doing things all over the world.
Good. Yeah, let's invite him. Perhaps he'll be willing to come and share a little bit of information as we're starting to engage with the Arctic Energy, you know, see where these things lead to. Maybe we can use his knowledge to help design a better project. Certainly evaluating the costs and things like that of different systems would be very useful to pick his brain if he's willing to share. He does seem like he's willing to. So, okay, we'll leave that with the SAO, and we'll put that invitation out there. Our councilors generally open to having a presentation made by Jeff Phillips. Yeah, I mean, it's not like, you know, he's not on call waiting for people like us to come over, but we're hopeful that maybe in his travels he could end up, you know, we could arrange to coincide with his travels and hear him out. Okay, that's what we'll do. We'll see what the chances of that happening are. Okay, so back to the motion that council move forward with an expression of interest letter to Arctic Energy Alliance with respect to engaging Arctic Energy Alliance to undertake feasibility studies to determine the potential for biomass heating infrastructure for village-owned facilities. All in favor? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 options for different types of systems, certainly, as you, variance, so that's why we're approving it. And there's a motion that council approve the development permit application of Nicole Gillette, requesting a fence height variance, further that the approval becomes effective after the 14-day public notice period. Since it's a variance, it has to go out for public notice. And can I get a mover and a seconder? The mover is Councillor Hassan, seconder is Councillor Morrow. Any discussion? Information on it? Sure.
A report was prepared, emailed this afternoon. Those of you who weren't able to, I'll read the report. The proponent is proposing to build a new fence surrounding her lot. The applicant has provided all necessary documents accompanied with the permit fee. The lot is zoned single detached and duplex residential. The zoning bylaw limits fence heights to 4 feet. In the case of corner lots such as this, front yard conditions apply to both fronting sides. The applicant is requesting a variance to allow for part of the fence on each fronting side to be 6 feet, and the section of fence at the corner of 95 Avenue and 102 Street will be in compliance with the code at 4 feet, so as not to impede the view for traffic at the corner. The recommendation, the impact of the view of traffic will not be minimal. The impact on river views for others will be negligible. Neighbors will have the opportunity to object during the 2-week notice period, and the recommendation would be to approve the development permit with variance given the 14-day notice.
Okay, any further discussion? All right, everyone in favor of approving the development permit application pending the 14 days? Show of hands. 7. Councillor Hassan, are you voting in favor?
Yes.
Okay, that's 8 in favor, none against. Motion's carried. And that development permit will be posted publicly under bylaws. 11D. Oh, 11D, yeah, that's right. Those, we have the contribution agreement with ECE, and I've got a motion that council approve and sign contribution agreement number AV 982278, the Small Communities Employment Support Program. Can I get a mover and a seconder? Okay, mover is Deputy Mayor Antoine, seconder, okay, Councilor McPherson. Any discussion, or should we get some information from our SA?
Yes, and Your Worship, this is a program now that the village has been involved with now for the last 3 years. It is, we are more the administrator of the program for local business. So there's a call out made each year for business to participate. They provide us their submissions. We compile them, moving forward ECE, public fair and equitable sharing of resources. The total project or the total funding provided is $116,000 each year. So that is shared amongst the local businesses to help support their efforts through the year.
Okay, Deputy Mayor, go ahead.
Can you tell us how you helped them last year? This month?
How we
What was done last year? How far
Uh,
was this last year?
Same process, same amounts of money. There were some proponents, I think there were 6 proponents last year that shared in that funding, so
I'm sorry, I didn't.
six local businesses who last year would have shared in that program. Program runs from April to March of each year. So what we're doing this year is taking us up to the end of March next year. And so like we got last year, there was DFN, golf course, those kinds of businesses submitted proposals, which ECD was able to
The
approve.
golf course, is it?
Pardon?
The golf course?
Yep.
Oh,
I had asked you what programs were supported.
Okay, let's see. I have to look.
We could get that information for you.
Yeah, okay.
Like DFN had they had some new projects they were,
For wage subsidy,
pardon?
is it wage subsidy? That-
Yeah.
Yeah, that's.
That's a different one though, that's an entirely different project, or, conditions for that, but this one is,
What is the criteria?
for the small communities. Your proposal needs to show that, what you're creating is a new position, and that it could, through the project, continue in the years going forward. No guarantee that it will, but, that's one of the major criteria they want.
Thank you.
Yeah, so this year, for example, Community Garden Society had put a submission in to provide some support for their initiatives, so.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions, comments? All right, so again, the council approved and signed the contribution agreement, AB 982278, Small Communities Employment Support Program. All in favor? 8 in favor, none against, motion carried. And now 11E, COVID-19 issue. Councilor Asani, do you want to start the conversation on that?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In fact, we all know what's going on in the NWD here. We have very conflicting, contradicting messages from the government, from the border. People cross the border, to be essential workers. They come to the community here, and we don't know if they have self-isolation plan or if they don't have. Who follow up with that? And another thing, and this is the fact, Fort Simpson is one of the hubs of the NWT. We have long term here. People who work at the long term, they are residents in this community. We have elders in this community. If we have one case, from my own experience, I have a lot of friends. So right now, I contact them through Facebook, and every moment I find someone died from COVID. My relatives, my friends all over the world, in UK, Africa, in UAE, in Qatar, wherever. And even this morning, I got a call. I was in the bank. I got a call that one of my relatives passed away of COVID-19. So it's not getting less. The number of cases are rising. South of the border, in Alberta, they are rising. In the United States, they are rising. And we are taking it easy here on ourselves, and people, they think that, we are safe. We are not safe. So how can we get ourselves to a point that we can say that we try to save the community, we try to help our community not to have. You know that all the cities around Canada, when most of the cities, they declare state of emergency, they stop people, at least stop people ask them when they are not, if they are not our resident, they come on whatever, truckers, whatever, that we can ask them how was their self-isolation plan, what's their protocol when they're in our community here, to keep our community safe. The good thing until now, the health and social service in regards to the long term, they are really doing very good. There is no visiting in the long term, and they check their employees during their shifts, before their shifts, and after the shift, and that's really good. But I noticed that people are taking it easy on themselves. This is a very serious matter, and we should take an action on that. Thank you.
To that, I would just like to add that I'm wondering what counselors are thinking about the possibility of manning an information check stop before people get into our community. Because I know personally, on June 6th, I saw a red, silver truck towing a Zodiac. Both had Alberta plates on it. I saw them walk into one of the local stores. I've never seen this person before, and I lived here for 35 years. So I mean, I know half the people in the Hay River by sight, you know, that I know I've seen them over the years. This guy was towing him, walked in, that was on June 6th. As it happened, you know, at the time I thought, well, he must be just somebody from Yellowknife or something that never changed his plates or something. You know, couldn't be a visitor. Then a few days later, we find out from the premier that lo and behold, they actually have been letting in visitors other than non-essential workers, as long as they agreed to a self-isolation plan. But here this guy was, and that had started prior, actually on May 29. So it is possible that this guy actually was a visitor, and I didn't realize that till a few days later. Otherwise, I probably would have made a phone call and said, "Better check this guy out." The other day, I saw a Matco truck pulled up to the local store. License plate looked like there wasn't one. Turned out there was one, but it was high up on the truck, covered in mud. When the guy came out of the store, because again, I'd noticed he'd gone in the store, I said, "You mind telling me where you're from?" He said, "Yeah, I'm from Alberta." I said, "So, it's hard to tell," I said, "because your truck doesn't have a license plate." We went around and he was able to show me. And then I said, "So, have you been self-isolating?" And he said, "No, why should I? I'm not sick." So I had the distinct impression that he says, "Well, it's all muddy, the license plate, because that's all that Fort Liard mud on the truck." So he'd come from Fort Liard. You know, to me, the impression I had was that this guy was monitoring his health, and if he got sick, he would self-isolate, but he didn't have any problems just going into stores and other things without wearing a mask while he was here. So I'm thinking some kind of information check stop before people get in the community would both alert us to the people that are here, how many people are coming in that are essential, how many are visitors, did they comply with their self-isolation orders? And we'd have to be keeping a track as well of what the GNWT is doing at the border. After all, they didn't alert us for almost 2 weeks that they were letting in visitors. That alone tells you that you may not be able to trust what's going on at the border. You may find out later. Anybody have any thoughts on that? Councilor Lafferty?
Well, I'm pretty sure the border to Nelson is still closed,
It has to be.
because, I know that, what's his name, Hannah goes out here a couple times a week to check on the border. So, Trevor, so they're still closed, so he couldn't have come through Nelson.
No, he said at the time he had been in the NWT for 2 weeks already, and that the back of his truck was covered with mud because it was Fort Liard mud. So he must have come in, gone down there. He was loading up some furniture or whatever, and was coming back. He said he'd been in the NWT for, he said, almost 2 weeks. And I know that people in the supply chain are supposed to, ones that are going to be here for longer than 36, they're still supposed to self-isolate. They're not supposed to just come in and mix. They're supposed to, if they have to go into a store, use mask, gloves, and, you know, the trucker, we got told this before with Northern, the trucker that comes in and delivers our food to Fort Simpson, he backs up to the store, the Northern store. They don't associate with the guy at all. They open the back of the truck, the manifest is there. He doesn't even hand it to anybody. It's there, everything and they unload him, and, you know, he doesn't go in the store, he doesn't do anything, and then he leaves. He leaves the community. That was kind of more my understanding of what supply chain workers were supposed to be doing. Not interacting with people in the community. I know we wouldn't have any regulatory authority if we put somebody out at the ferry crossing, but we could give information and even be somewhat helpful to people to clarify what the existing rules are. Because when I read the rules, I think it's fairly clear, and if they were actually followed while people were in our community, then yeah, we'd probably be okay. But that reminder might be very useful, because I think people are driving here, they drive into the community, and as Councillor Hassan said, it seems like it's almost like normal operations. Everybody's just going around. It's much busier in Fort Simpson, for example, than what I see in Hay River. In Hay River, they're still, you know, knock on the door of some businesses to get in. Here, we're just a lot more open. But I think it's because we've been working under the assumption that we're safe somehow here. We did have the river crossing closed, now ferries open, now rules have changed. Maybe we either got to change as a community the protocols that we're using ourselves, or we've got to vet some people before they get into the community. And hey, if they don't want to answer our questions at the ferry crossing, we'll just phone up the lands department, who I think are the regulatory authority, the regulatory officers, and say, yeah, we just talked to a guy from this province or that province, and they didn't want to answer our questions, so can you please stop them before they get to town and ask them those questions yourself? Because if they're that way, it probably means they're unwilling to comply. Yes, Councillor Laffer.
Well, if people are coming in like that, not having to self-isolate or anything, why are we being so strict, or we go out to Alberta or BC, whatever, and we have to self-isolate when we come back? And these guys don't have to, but they're just coming in and helping themselves. That's not fair. We're gonna be in jail for maybe some said till 2020 and 2021 before they let us out of the border. You know, and yet these other people are coming in and they're spot free to travel wherever. That's not right. It's either self-isolate for everybody or no one.
Right.
You know, just drop it. So we can go out whenever we want.
Councillor McPherson.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about Fort Province. I know they have a check stop there. And I hear it works quite well. And I think we're in a pretty good position because we have a ferry. And so I think that's a good idea. We just have to find out what the legal limits are as to how we can do this. I think it's a really good idea. We start checking some of these. Some of the people that we don't know, like I saw that macro truck.
Yeah.
And I've seen them in vehicles, and I just
Councillor Hassan.
Thank you. I think, you know, it's kind of difficult, but I believe that as a councillor, I'm going to ask the mayor to investigate with or ask or call the online and check with the public health, chief public health officer, the health department, even if we have to declare a state of emergency so we can enforce our. Because, yeah, people might come and tell you, oh, you know, it's legal, it's like the act, the law, whatever. But if you declare a state of emergency, this is our right. You can't, with that, when you declare a state of emergency, you have the right to do anything. You have the right to stop. I have the right to stop people if they're harming my community. So I think we should go and contact your wife, the health and social service, the the chief public health officer, and see what's our way out of this issue. Because last week I was in Young Life. When I came out of Young Life, the RCMP stopped me on the highway. So they stopped. Where are you going? Where are you coming from? That's very simple, right? It's just like I posted this on Facebook. If people we know that there's a killer coming crossing, so we can't even stop that person asking, oh, are you going there to kill or not? We do have the right to say that. We do have the right to protect our community. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, Councilor Belfontaine.
I was going to say, I think at the very least, we could, even if we weren't legally allowed to tell people they can't come in, we could, hire somebody that could, for example, go on ferry, like you said. They could be there with information, as you were saying earlier, and we could ask the question, and then even offer them assistance, for example, if they're going to be here for a period of time and they're going to have to isolate for 2 weeks, they shouldn't be going to the store. So what we would ask is that you contact this phone number. We will find somebody that will go pick up your supplies for you. That way it's not so much don't come in before it's instant. We don't want to give the message that we don't want you here, but we want you here safely. And I'm sure I've seen people post things on Facebook a lot of times where they ask for help and so many people jump to it and volunteer to do stuff for them. So I think if it was a matter of keeping our community safe, if I was working there and I say, hey, I know you're from Alberta, here's some information that we'd like you to know. And if you're going to be here for this period of time, we ask that if you need to go to the store, you call this number. And then say it's the village officer, they could ask, and it wouldn't necessarily be the staff of the village office that has to do it for them, but they could put a message on the village report system Facebook page or on Swap and Shop or Bulletin or something, asking if there's any volunteers that could help with each specific thing. I mean, it sounds like a lot of work, but I think in an effort to keep the community safe, I think that's a small thing to do, and I think it's more of a friendly face than saying just outright we don't want you, which I don't think anybody is saying. I think we just want to make sure it's safe.
Deputy Mayor. And then, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I was hearing concerns after the confusion that we had last Tuesday's meeting. It was, the news came out just when we started our meeting, and as we were meeting, and then that letter came out after. Everything came out at the same time we were at the meeting. It was complete confusion. It was unnecessary. I think it was really cool to have that miscommunication, because it really alarmed a lot of our people. And rightly so, because there is no vaccine for COVID-19. We're very lucky we never had anything here yet. We want to keep it like that. So there's some miscommunication, that's fine. But there is a bigger miscommunication here in Simpson in the death toll. We don't know if you have COVID-19. We don't know if these guys that just came back from the casino in Edmonton, because it's none of your business. We have to know where people went. We have to know whether they're only here in Alberta, from Alberta. There's people saying they've seen vehicles on the highway with Alberta license plate. So a lot of our people are really vigilant in this community and they're very wary about it. We have 126 cases of diabetics in this community. They're the ones that are going to get hit the hardest. We have a lot of elderly people and a lot of people we have to protect those people and protect this region. So, are you asking, the way you were talking, Sean, is that, are you asking us to step up as a village and say, we want to take over enforcement and we want to take over who comes here or not. We want to man the road or the ferry here, and over there. We want that road over in Port, the yard completely dug out, nobody to go through there. Because there's so much rumors in town, and these are just rumors. There's people crossing over.
Mhm.
And there is, and it's scary to hear those rumors. I hope that's all it is. But we're over here, we don't know, and then, hearing there's people seeing different vehicles coming in, and I'm very alarmed to hear you said that on May 29th, you see this incident that happened with the Zodiac people. So I don't know how far we can go, but, I agree that we need to make a move. And we need to know, we gotta have the authority to say, like, what are you here for? More, even better than that, you need to show me your card that says you're COVID-free and signed by a doctor before you step over
Yeah, I don't,
here.
I think it's not unreasonable.
We'll go back to those days where, well, show me your card. Oh, here's Brandon Simpson's card is signed by the doctor in Edmonton and it's approved here. I'm COVID-free, I got my test, it was done. We might have to go right down, I would like to see that. I would like anybody that comes here to show me the paper saying they've got their test and they're COVID-free.
Okay. Councilor Ogier, you have your hand up?
Yeah, he had a good idea about stopping people coming in, but we gotta stop them on the other side of the river. And before they get on the ferry, it's the proper place, I think. You check it. He's from Marlborough, you don't know where he's from. Let's see your document, let's see your papers. Did you, where are you coming from? And if he can't produce it, the same story, you're gonna have to turn back. Before he even gets on the ferry, do the checkpoint across the river. Don't let him come into town and say, well, I need gas, I need groceries. Well, you're not gonna go in. We'll get somebody to go in and get groceries and gas and turn you back. But don't let them come into the community. Stop on your side of the river. You don't have to stop them from coming from Lair. You gotta stop at checkpoint because there's no other way into Fort Simpson. People from Wrigley can come here, but people from Layard or whatever, Jean Marie, they can't come here. They gotta catch the ferry. You stop them at the ferry. How are they gonna get across? If you turn them back, you haven't got the proper documentation. Sorry, you gotta go back. Don't let them come and say, well, I gotta go get groceries. You don't know if they got the virus or not. Why let them into town? Leave them there. Let somebody else come in and get the groceries. I think as people of this community, we have the power and the right to stop anybody from coming into this community. We live here, they don't. And why are they coming here?
Just before I give Councilor Hassan,
Okay.
or Councilor Simpson, did you have your hand up?
Well, yeah, I was just, I'm just wondering, because I was in Yellowknife in March. Yeah, it was March. And there were a lot of Chinese people there, and a lot of Japanese people in Yellowknife. Okay, we stayed Super 8, and I went out for the breakfast in the morning, full of people from Asia, right? The numbers of people who were coming in from Asia at that time were hundreds a day. There were hundreds and hundreds of people every single day coming in from Asia throughout that period. Afterwards, okay, this was March, or middle of March. I was sitting in the thing, it was really weird because I was sitting there watching TV and there was breaking news, COVID-19, right? It was just coming out. And I was sitting there with all of these people who were all Chinese. It was really weird. It was uncomfortable, right? It made me wonder, whoa, Well, what if everybody's already had COVID-19 already? And that's it, it's all over. It's been through the population already. Because there's nobody really who was tested. And there's no way to find out. There's no way to know. And basically, so I've heard it said that a person who would trade their security for freedom. So we have to ask ourselves what freedoms we're willing to give up in order to protect ourselves from a perceived threat that may or may not be real at this point. Because we may have all been exposed to it already and we're immune or it's been through the population. It's just a flu, right? They say it's really deadly. Yeah, but the numbers are only 80,000 in the world. It's a normal flu season in the world. That's pneumonia kills 80,000 people in the world every year. It's not that big of a number, 80,000 globally. It's small. Here, we have experiences of flu epidemics where people were dead, and by the next day, nobody could stand in the whole community. They're all dead. There's so many people dead that they have to bring building boxes for them. That's a flu epidemic. So there's this complete disconnect in my mind from all the history that I've read about what a flu epidemic does and what it looks like and what it does, about this one that's being promoted and heavily, just it's a media thing, it's lockdown, right? These are heady terms. Lockdown is what happens when you're in prison, right? It's when you're in your thing there or whatever, and then they lock, right? They lock everything, that's lockdown. So the terminology of this prison state and this prison era that we're walking into this new reality is, I mean, are we going to look back on it, or just, is the world going to just die a bunch of cowards? And we might as well just go and hide. I don't want COVID-19. You know what? I don't even care. And here's the thing. Why? Because I think that it may have gone through the population already. I was watching a credible, there was a doctor giving an interview. He said, how does COVID-19 get in? How do you see this all ending? This doctor is an expert virologist in the United States administration. And he said, there was 3 people sitting around, and 2 people, and one guy's actively got COVID-19. There's 3 people at the table. Okay? This is like I said, it's like trying to stop the wind. It's so contagious that the common cold and the common flu are so contagious that they can be spread throughout, and that's why there is no vaccine for it. There's never going to be a vaccine for the cold and flu. It's not real, right? The effectiveness issues. I watched the cattle producers in Alberta struggling, trying to keep their vaccines at the right temperature so they'll be effective. They said that there was a guy that went out to inspect the facilities where they inject all the cattle for their inoculation stuff. He said that there was so big of a difference in the vaccination temperatures in the refrigerators of those different places that the vaccines were not reliable, any of them. They said that 50% or more were at the wrong temperature, even to store vaccines in the refrigerator. Okay, so here's the thing. This is the point that I'm trying to make, is that are we just buying into a media thing? Because I haven't seen any evidence of it. I haven't seen any bodies piling up in any churches. I haven't seen it. And it's just, to me, if I didn't have a TV, I wouldn't even know it exists. And is it my fault? I don't know. I don't even know if it exists. Is it real? I don't know. Do I know anybody that died from it? No, I don't. Have I heard of anybody do I know anybody who knows somebody that's died of it? No, I don't.
You do, that's me. I know at least 100 people, and at least 10 of my dad's family members, they died of it. I can tell you that right now.
Okay, regardless, 80,000 people in the world, if you do the math at how many billions there are in the world, and divide that by 80,000, it's not a very scary number.
No, but even in the States, it's like 120,000.
It's 80,000 in the world.
No.
Well, it's not huge.
400,000 in the world.
About almost 8 million have it that they tested.
Okay, so what are the numbers of, let's do some math, because this is the way I use mathematics.
COVID-19.
Oh, this guy. But how many
That was what the doctor said, was that medical experts say that it can't be stopped, it's a common cold with the flu, it's so contagious, it's impossible to
Stop it, never mind.
But how about cost benefit?
Well, this is what I'm getting at, is that what I'm seeing though, is what it is what I'm noticing is that the social effect of a whole bunch of people from watching television and that is a stronger effect than the actual disease or sickness itself. It's nothing compared to the effect that it's having on all of us, on our entire society, our entire country. It's having a bigger effect on us, it's screwing up our lives more than just a few dead people.
We follow the rules and.
Oh, that's what I'm, don't get me wrong. Oh, I'm gonna follow the rules. I'm not saying don't follow the rules. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, does this make sense? And is it right to deprive other people of their rights and freedoms for a perceived threat? Because is it, show me some proof. I just don't see any. I'm not seeing the proof. I don't see any of that. Like I said, I'm just not seeing it on the ground. And if I, you know, and that's what I'm trying to see, right?
Let's not give it a chance.
Okay, well, all right, well, you had your say there. There you go.
We'll
Yeah,
accept
you
that.
can stop people on the ferry, but what's gonna happen is that you wind up, right now, they're releasing the restrictions. We're at the end of the thing, right? So, like, the trend in society right now is that we're finishing this, we're wrapping up this phase of thing, we're opening things up again, stores are opening up again, everything's starting to open up again. And now it's a good time for us to put up a roadblock. It's a little bit Johnny come lately to the party. If we were gonna put up a roadblock, it should have been for people going back and forth to Yellowknife, all those Chinese people were there from that province where those sicknesses were. There's people in Yellowknife that were there. So that was the opportunity to do something about it. We missed it. And luckily, nothing happened. Luckily, it probably went through and it's all gone now. And that's lucky.
Okay, Deputy Mayor.
Randy, what do you think we should do to
Well,
protect our community?
it's being done.
What do you think? we
Okay,
should
well,
do?
ask me
Like
questions.
I said, I'm not scared.
Deputy Mayor,
I have no interest
You
in
think
changing.
we don't think we need to do
I
it?
don't, I think that whatever's happening now is basically what it is, and that's what is required. And that's kind of it. So,
I'm just asking you, what do you think we should do?
like I said, I personally think we can do it, and I don't believe that we should do anything, because I don't believe it. I don't believe that.
We're gonna look at
What they're saying is, like I said, the math doesn't add up. The numbers don't add up, and there's no such thing as vaccine for COVID. Right. So you can, there's never going to be a vaccine.
Any
And
other
there's
thoughts?
it's science. It's medical science.
Let's forget about them.
Well, how about-
Our people.
Okay, Councilor Hassan, you get your,
Yeah, I'm not gonna
Let's
say
wrap up.
we're getting close.
I'm not gonna say much. There is a saying, the true accurate history is what's written and witnessed by the living. I have seen in my life viruses killing people and how much people die from. That's an invisible enemy. You can't see that. I've seen people like mass death of cholera, of HIV/AIDS, of like these kind of viruses. I've seen towns like this community, like Fort Simpson, empty, nothing. So when it comes to disease and virus, there is no talk. There is no any way that we can take it easy. That's a fact. For the idea of stopping the people when they are coming, we don't have to ban them from entering the community. We can have a stop, ask them where they're coming from. If they're coming from Alberta, what time what days they cross the border. If they have an isolation, it's not banning them from entering. It's just to know in our community, as simple as that, with a very pleasant message. Okay, you came from Alberta. Okay, how many days you came? You have regulations for 14 days. Okay, for these few days, 4 days. If you're gonna stay, where are you gonna stay in Fort Simpson? You don't have be careful not to be in where the community members are. If you need any help, then we can help you. That's very simple. If they are not following their protocol or following those regulations, then we contact the authorities, the health authorities, we contact whoever is taking the responsibility of the cross-border controls, if it's MACA, if it's NAM, whoever, and just deal with it. It's very simple, very messy. Thank you.
Yeah.
Self-isolating down campgrounds.
To find out. My personal preference would be if the government took its own responsibility seriously and had one of their regulatory officers, which they say one exists in Fort Simpson. Why is not that person checking on people coming into the community? I do not see that. As a matter of fact, what's being encouraged, and in this way, I'd agree with Councillor Citizen, we're being asked to be snitches on people who come in the community. Now, that really is like 1984. We're all snitching on everybody.
Exactly.
That is not great. What would be better is an upfront information presentation to people coming in saying, look, in this community, we're the locals at a distance of less than 6 feet. So if you need any help to carry out your activities when you're here, and oh, by the way, can you see your isolation plan? just to verify that you didn't divert from it and suddenly ended up here. I think most people are honest and are trying to follow those plans according to the way they filed them. Does not mean that every single person is going to do it when they get protection here, so they're not that worried, I'll just go in myself. And it only takes one. That's the problem. We're not working on odds. If one comes in with it, then for sure we're gonna end up with, some community transmission here. We're a highly susceptible community. We're isolated, but that isolation can work against us. We're a regional center. We do house elders from all over the region. The last thing we need is a little mini disaster here. And then we'll be blockaded. You won't be going anywhere. If it turns out that Fort Simpson becomes a hot spot, it'll be us that'll be blockaded. Not us telling people, look, maybe reconsider coming in if you don't have the right documentation. It'll be us. I'd like people to keep enjoying their life in Fort Simpson. I think, the concern is for the elderly, the immune system compromised. We know there's a lot of individuals that have immune system issues. Even the health minister said in the Northwest Territories, approximately 1/4 of the population have those problems. And if it was that safe, why are territorial government employees not back to work? Ask yourself that question. So it isn't safe. There's pressure being applied, I think, to the government to allow certain activities. Like, I just don't understand why visitors are coming in under this Charter of Rights thing, because we got a state of emergency. Under a state of emergency, you do what you have to protect yourself. And it didn't seem like an unreasonable situation to stick to the no visitors until there's a vaccine approach. Why that changed was never explained to anybody. It just happened, and they said, Charter of Rights. Well, and now all of a sudden everybody can come and go. Yeah, sign that self-isolation agreement, but we're not monitoring you very closely. We don't even check to see which community you end up in. I think it's just too many questions. The cost benefit in my mind is, look, the government should be either putting somebody out there themselves and providing us that extra level of protection, or else we should do it, send them the bill. Now, we can check up on that. And I think if we push it, the government's always looking to abdicate their responsibilities. If we have to spend the money, $6,000, $7,000 a month to have somebody sitting out at the ferry crossing, I think that's money well spent, actually. And we'll put the pressure on the government to pay the bill, as they should be. What is that little bit of money compared to the safety of the people of Fort Simpson? I think in their minds it probably is. That's my feeling. And I mean, pose that question on Facebook. Almost everybody who lived in Fort Simpson said, yeah, that's a great idea. Let's have an information checkpoint. Find out what's going on. Alert people to what we are requesting them to do while they're here, which is only exactly what they get told at the border. At least what's on the NWT Protect website. It's only a small scale amount of people that get it. Don't worry, you're in Simpson. And to me, it's almost unanimous. People want something done. Deputy Mayor?
Well, both sides of our border in BC, the report of coronavirus of COVID-19 has risen, and it's still rising in BC. In Alberta, it is, and they just opened up last week. We have to wait at least a week. Sean, are you asking the council to let the government know we're not happy to happen? We would like them to put the post here and over there to check these people. We want to meet them right away to discuss it.
I think that's what I'm saying as a first step. A letter to the appropriate government minister, and the Premier, asking that as a council and consider our next step. But I think that, yeah, the push should be for that extra layer of protection. People coming in as visitors, I know the essential services people are coming and going, and we have no problem with them coming and going. It's whether they're complying properly with the rules, and have they been educated enough at the border, and are 100% of the people that show up by road in Fort Simpson supposed to be there. I mean, it's all a big trust system. And to me, asking somebody as they pull onto the ferry or just before they pull on the ferry, can we see your self-isolation plan, is not that unreasonable. It would be best asked by a regulatory officer of the GMWT. Say, well, look, you missed your turnout. You said you were going to Yellowknife. What are you doing here? That kind of question. Because a vehicle is it's highly mobile. Once you pass the officers at the border, who's to say what people are doing?
Not to mention people that have access by boat to go across from wherever. So are you asking us to make a motion, or are we going to go a step further, maybe as a council, have a meeting with CPHO tomorrow as a council, like a special meeting and ask that question? And let them know what we want to do.
Well, if you'd allow me, I would like to write a letter indicating that we'd like to have an information at the ferry crossing to help ensure that people coming into the community are complying with their self-isolation orders. A reminder, make sure that those that show up are actually supposed to be coming in.
So is this going to be 24-hour security camera over there too?
Well, I mean, that's probably it. If people are taking notes, this to me is just helping honest people to do the right thing when they come to the community.
That extra step.
And you know, the level, as Councilor Bellefontaine said, look, if you're here and you're an essential worker, if for some reason you need something from the store, maybe you don't have headache medicine, and you get to Fort Simpson, you get a headache. You gotta get to a pharmacy, you gotta get, well, we don't want you going into the store if at all possible, so we're here to offer to maybe get that to you, something. We just want to emphasize that the rules say they should not be in close contact with any of the local people for 14 days. We didn't make those rules, the territorial government did. Just seems like they don't want to follow up too closely on that. It's a total trust system, and it puts us at a little bit higher risk than we need to be. They're paying people right now to sit at home. Why not put them in a vehicle out at the ferry crossing and do that extra bit of regulatory oversight to make sure that we're a little bit safer? I can write that letter. I can write it to the Premier.
Right now, right?
CC it to MACA, because I want to make clear too that if, you know, they don't do it, we'll do it, send them the bill. But I think they should be given the first opportunity, because if we just jump in there and do it, they'll say, well, we never asked. I'd like to ask. Make clear our concerns. We've seen a lot of vehicles coming in. I know one person, in response to my Facebook post, said, you don't have the authority. The next day, they said, I don't know how they knew that. But suddenly they become concerned enough to say that. I appreciate that they said that. But where does that leave us? Snitching on everybody?
Are they getting it? Are they lying?
That's a good question. And we'll have no way of knowing, because we're not stopping and asking them before they come here. I've asked a few people now.
This counting,
That's what I'm.
happening. That's what I'm trying to get at, is that are we just lazy? This is just ridiculous.
That's not what
These
we're
professionals, the authorities in the matter, who actually making the laws about it, have decided otherwise. So what they're, a completely different story. What they're saying is that it's time for tourism to start again. the Premier of the Northwest Territories is promoting to come to Northwest Territories in Alberta right now. In the news, she's dressed up in a thing like that, and just in a news thing, and she's encouraging people, come visit now to the Northwest Territories. So either we get something straightened out with the Premier, or we just have our hands off it. I get my hands off. Like I said, I don't know what to believe anymore. Because when you start telling people that you guys have to all stay apart from each other, no, physical distancing and all of that, but we're going to shut the store hours down to create these big lineups. Well, it defies logic, right? It begs the question of who made that decision? Like, is there any logic left for people to realize that, it's better just to leave the store hours so that you don't have that density? Because there's no fewer people that are going to need food, they also have to go there. Just why not spread it out over a longer time to create less contact? It's math. They're against mathematics. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to see that picture. So what I'm trying to get is it bends logic, and it defies logic. So what do you believe, right? Do you believe the people that are in charge and that are writing the law and that are saying, tourists, go to Fort Simpson. Tourists, come here. That's what the Premier's message is to come into Northwest Territories, and that's why you're seeing boats, trucks, all this stuff, because the Premier is promoting tourism again.
Well, if you allow me to, councillors, I'm going to express some concern about the change to allow visitors in and the issue that it's created for the village of Fort Simpson potentially. I mean, we're being told that, look out for the second wave. I read on CNN that the virus, they're seeing a mutation which is making it even easier to pass between people. It's true, we don't know for a fact how many people in society in general tend to believe that not possibly have been in Fort Simpson. The fact that, numerous tests were done in Fort Simpson, people who had flu-like symptoms. I can't tell you the exact number of people that were tested, but it's not like a dozen. There's many tens, and none of them came back as positive. So I just don't think it got here.
If you want to do a test, okay, if it's going to die on the people, yeah, it's science. Like I said, there's no difference.
Well, let's not, okay,
Let's not.
Deputy Mayor, let's wrap it up.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
just wanted to know, what you thought about, anybody can come here, I'll welcome anybody here.
That's right.
I want to say something to that.
Okay,
You can be tested before you leave, but you could run into someone on your way out of town. It doesn't really do too much good. It's just good for that day. You could get it the next day from somebody. Well, that test really, it's just good for that day.
Yeah, that's what I
If you
mean.
get tested, at least, if you're going home to the casino, if you get tested and you test positive,
yeah, but they aren't even doing those rapid tests at the
well,
border.
they've been talking about it, that's
I don't even know-
what the CPA
Do they do
told us
temperature? Do they test the temperature at the border? I wonder.
I didn't talk about temperature, I said the actual COVID-19 test.
Yeah, that would be nice if they could do it.
Oh,
At the
we
border,
can
but they're
demand
not.
that they do it.
Yeah, why can't they? Yeah.
We demanded that they do it.
You'd think before they started letting everybody in, they would have done that. I think those rapid tests are available.
Don't believe they're reliable. If they're available, they're not reliable.
Whatever resources they have and they trust, I'm sure they would do it.
Okay, Councilor Hassan, read the last word,
Point of order, please. It's simple as that. We talk about how we going to check at the ferry crossing, and the mayor write a letter, and that's very simple.
Yeah.
When you get the information, just get back to the council, and that's it.
Okay, based on that, I just want to see a quick show of hands. Who here wants me to write a letter, basically expressing concern and indicating the territorial government should man some kind of checkpoint at the ferry? Okay. That I take as, and I'll report back. I'll even show you a draft of the letter.
Can you give us a timeline of when you're going to do all this, please?
Tomorrow,
And
I'll write the letter tomorrow and I'll show you a draft by tomorrow. And then I'll get a little feedback from the counselors and then we'll send that letter out.
Thank you.
And just in the meantime, I was wondering, is there anything we can do, do we have any current staff, maybe for the next few days, to while this is happening? Even if we come up with just a basic list of questions, you know? I think if we have at least something just to show that we are checking any vehicles coming in, because this is a great idea, but if we don't hear back from them and it's a week or 2 weeks, and in that time something happens, you know, it would just be great if we had, if there was something available, maybe we could do that starting ASAP. And then with the very, I mean, it would be basic, we might not have time to think of every question we want to ask, or question we could, but maybe something to start.
Well, let's just wait. It's just so that we're not jumping the gun. I'll have that letter ready for you tomorrow. And we'll get it out, and we'll be indicating that we need a response very quickly. This is about the emergency, so there's options available to us, I think, but let's just ensure that the government knows our concerns. We're asking them to do more. If they aren't willing to, we'll get back. We'll decide where we're going right after that.
Yes.
Okay. All right, I'll do that, and we'll move on to number 12. We read a first time, and the amendment concerns the, is that the change, the elections of, like appointing in elections of councilors to bring it into line to territorial legislation under the MPT Elections Act. That's now, keep in mind, first reading, second reading, and then it comes up for third. We'll allow some time, perhaps for public feedback. We can put that out there, but if anyone in the community has concerns. So this really is just to get it to the discussion stage. So can I get a motion? Mover, okay. Councillor Hassan, seconded by Councillor Lafferty. Yeah, the bylaw 2020-002, council procedures bylaw with amendments, be ready first time. Any discussion? All right. Councillor Hassan?
All in favor?
You're just thinking or you're voting? All right. All in favor? There's 7, 8 in favor. There'll be. All right. Now, this is typically what we do with bylaws. We have a first and second reading, and then we stop. Even though we could theoretically do them all three tonight because we have a full quorum, we're not going to do that. We're going to allow time for the public to find out what it is we're considering, get more feedback, then come back. This is the general gist of what we're doing. So again, the same exact motion. Can I get a mover? Except for it's the second reading. Update the council in person. And seconded by Councilor Bellefontaine. All in favor then? 7. Is that a yes vote? Yeah. Okay, 8 in favor, none against. Motion carried. Okay, it's been a bit of a long meeting so far. So I just ask that everybody on council matters and concerns, if you could just keep it to like 2 minutes max, okay? Pick your house. Oh, sorry. So we do have a correspondence, and it is a request from the school that we donate some money. Any discussion? I don't have a motion or anything, if somebody wants to make one. Yeah, okay, Councilor first and then Councilor Lafferty.
Just for information, Alki has received the same letter. So I'm not sure that the intent here is going to get 10,000 from Alki and 10,000 from the village. I'm not sure, so I haven't, we haven't responded to that letter yet, so I was quite surprised to see.
Okay, and Councilor Lafferty.
Well, it's, they want 10,000 for each school in the region. So I think it's more than one school, and that's a lot of money to be asking for each school. It may be more than 10,000 when we're all said and done. And we don't have that kind of money just to be giving up to the school. I'm sure they've got extra monies. They said they had extra money, extra $1 million or something like that. So I'm just wondering why they're asking for this money now.
Right.
It's a lot of money to condition out. Where are you getting your donations?
Deputy Mayor, I saw your hand.
I'm not clear if the letter's asking for only 10,000, or it says for the school, the way I read it, is for these two schools here, they're asking for 20,000. Yeah, it's 20,000, not 10,000. So, not sure what kind of money we have or anything, but, I'd like to see a little bit more as to what they're gonna purchase, how much they need, what are they gonna do with the brakes, how are they gonna secure it, all that stuff. I guess maybe just a little bit more information. It doesn't sound a very expensive items, although they need it, I agree they can need it. But I'm not sure how much we have in the coffers.
But
But I
really,
know there's other organization in the community that raises money for the youth. And,
what really
there'll be
gets,
other, I would like to know who else they approach.
well, I mean, it seems like every government department wants to take the responsibility and give it to someone else. There's literally billions of dollars being put out there for COVID-related remedies to the issues. And one of them is that children are going to need better communications, internet and home-based studies. Why is there no money for this, of all things, that they should have to go ask around, like with the beggar in a hat? That just does not make sense to me. I mean, I'm glad they're alerting us to a potential problem, and if they want a support letter from the village, anything we can do to help them get the money from the correct source, which is the Department of Education and the GNWT, then that's what we will do, certainly. This kind of request is disconcerting and, it's troublesome, because it means that our kids, and they aren't as well connected through the internet as young people are in the bigger centers. And certainly not as well as down south. Yellowknife is better than us, and down south is better than Yellowknife. But this is like a basic education requirement now with COVID. And the other thing that you notice is that, they're going to have all these special protocols for the children. That they can't go to school together, they have to keep their distance, you need bigger classrooms. Some of them, classes will have to be rescheduled, kids will stay at home. But yet we're letting in visitors, who just sign a little form, maybe 24 hours later after they pass through the border. And we're setting up all these difficulties for our own children because we can't really protect them in our own community. This all comes back to that. If it's so safe, why do we need this? Because it isn't safe. But we do need it. Councillor Hassan.
Thank you. As a member and chair of the DA, I don't have any financial benefit from this matter. But also, Councillor Belafontaine is a member with the DA. So as a councillor, I prefer if this issue is stable and probably we get more information because it's really even written by vice principal, it's not even the principal. So this kind of correspondence, I believe we should follow up on it and we'll see. So as a councillor, I don't see any reason for us to do anything right now. Thank you.
How does that sound? Okay, Councillor Morrow?
In the first 2 lines of the letter, it basically sounds like he's
only asking for further support.
That's what I'll do. Yeah. Yeah, they don't say who they're asking for a donation from, but even that makes me upset that they should have to be asking for a donation. But we'll give them the support, indicate the, the importance of that, enabling our children to learn with technology. It's like we're in a bad spot here. And I don't think appropriate concerns are being addressed here with our children in the schools. So yeah, support letter for sure. Concerns saying that the territorial government firstly should be helping them, but if we're at that stage, Councilor Bellefontaine.
I was just gonna say, I know they had mentioned in one of our meetings that they were reaching out trying to find funding wherever they can. I know a lot of times the school gets a bad rap, I guess. But I think really Fort Simpson as a whole needs to, because attendance rates right now, average for the first part of the year before they closed for COVID-related reasons, was 55% attendance, which I don't even know how that can happen and people are not upset about it. Every time I hear these numbers, I don't even have kids here, but when I look at that and I think, I had mentioned before the statistic that the average attendance rate for the Northwest Territories, and this was years ago, was 86%, which meant that children were missing 2 years of school by grade 10. What does that mean if it's 55%? These kids are, by grade 10, have a grade 5 education. And I don't know how we can feel good about having kids that have a grade 5 education in grade 10, and at that point, they don't just get socially passed anymore, now they actually have to get the grades to pass, and some of them realize that they can't do it anymore. They haven't received education, now they can't do it, and they feel like they're a failure, and they stop going to school. Better for the kids. I don't necessarily say that we have to come up with money, but I think as a whole, the community, whatever we can do to support the young people, we should try to do whatever we can.
Okay, Councilor Lafferty?
As the education is in the territories, they all have a 50% to pass. Even their grade 9 or grade 12, that's ridiculous. It should be a lot higher. It should be at 70, 75%. That's why the kids don't even strive to even get 45%. They just don't seem to get there. But it's up to the parents too to make sure they get to school. And, we've got to get those grades percentage lifted, like 50% to pass. But you can't get into college or university at that rate. It's impossible. They didn't say anything. Answer noise of that. They don't see anything.
And education knows that in a community like Fort Simpson, we have a lot of special needs, a lot of challenges that don't exist at the same rates as the Smead Yellowknife. They don't even address that concern with dollars and resources to help. We're a poorer community than Yellowknife. The average wage or the average family income in Fort Simpson is about $20,000 less than in Yellowknife. Our internet costs are higher, so it's no surprise that kids don't have the same resources like iPads and computers as kids in Yellowknife. Now, that's just a systemic problem here. It's just the situation the way it is. So I think the government has some responsibility to equalize the playing field for young people to ensure they get a decent education. This here just shows me there's a problem. It's just scratching at the surface here.
It's a big problem, it's bigger than $10,000 to solve.
That's right.
And the thing is, there's a government department funded with millions of dollars in the ivory towers in Yellowknife, full of people there, with university degrees, one after the other, all lined up that haven't been able to solve this problem. So like you say, what are we gonna do about it? I think maybe we do have to start addressing some of these problems at the local level, because it's just not happening from the territorial, they're not able to. It's like just a fundamental breakdown, because there was a report that I read, it was in I saw it in the bibliography of the Smithsonian Institute handbook of the South, which is a sociological report done. You know, this question. The other one was there was a study done on the kids in Fort Simpson of their academic achievement, and I think it was 1950s. They said the kids here were really smart. They were really the Americans were here. The Americans opened a school in Fort Ridgeway. The American wives of the Air Force wives or something like that. They started a school and they opened the day school in Horse. Really, I remember. Anyways, there was these. It was really weird. I've been reading these strange sources with interesting bibliographies and realizing that the American history in Fort Simpson during the World War II era, this was the United States. For all intents and purposes, this was the USA. They had all the jurisdiction here. There was no Canadian jurisdiction here. The United States ran it. And this was right from the 1900s, after they bought Alaska in the 1870s or whatever. They've been running they were running this entire thing until just recently. And I found an RCMP commissioner's report in the, it was in one of the, and in there it said that they this was NECA to the RCMP until it was a very date. And it was because this was the Americans who were policing this area. So this is where I'm trying to get at, is that it's no surprise to me that there's these poorly educated, that the Fort Simpson is where it's at. Ask them, they say, no,
Okay, it's very simple here, it's correspondence, please. We requested that this issue is to be tabled, and we don't have to waste our time discussing other issues. It's just correspondence. If you guys want to respond to their letter, okay. If not, keep it. And as I told the chair of the DA, if you guys are welcome to come and attend the DA meetings and discuss all these issues, attendance, whatever.
Maybe we'll invite.
So, or we can invite everyone here to come to the DA meeting. As simple as that.
We'll be able to ask questions about this letter.
Thank you.
But yeah, we'll communicate with them
Yeah.
and we'll get more information. Because I could see this letter going all kinds of directions, but I think we better, they only asked for the 10,000. Let's find out what's going on. Is it so with that, okay, Councilor Lafley, Councilor McPherson, Deputy Mayor, Councilor Citizen.
Yeah,
What do you think?
okay, yeah. Oh, hey, I don't usually talk about things I don't know much about either. And here's one of them, is that the fire hazard that we were trying to figure out, there was a jurisdictional issue, nobody wants to pay for it, is that the problem? They want to pay for it. So I was just, there's a couple of things that came up. The other one was I read a letter the other day. There was a letter about a bird who were concerned about people cutting down trees with songbirds. There's another forest clearing issue, right? So there's these things, and what I'm wondering about is how to make money from it. Is there a way to sell the logs, to clear the land, sell the logs, and make some money on it? To get that pay for itself? Can we just clear get a logging crew from over in Alberta or whatever, come and log out this? Right, there's ways to do these things, and this is what there's resources. Those are valuable resources, you know, especially this big, heavy, old growth timber and stuff that is a major fire hazard for us in front of our town. But why don't we take it out and do it? Because it is an emergency. And I would, you know, and it's scary to think about. Here's the thing, right? Is there's things that are scarier to me than 19. A forest fire rolling through wild roads is scarier even than that. It happened in Slave Lake, and you know, I'll tell you, when we were little kids, we learned all about playing with fire. We used to play with fire in Fort Simpson, kids did. of emergency, right? So I know that's like raining out, maybe not the best time to talk about forest fires, but I'm just trying to figure out, is it just because there's no money, we'll make that happen?
You bring up a valid point, an avenue for investigation. Councilor Morrow, Councilor Hassan,
I have only one thing, well, the previous council approved, crossing traffic light from the school here, and I don't know where that funding goes, or where did it go, and what happened. I just want to know in the coming, meetings, if there's any possibility that we can have that before the school start. Thank you.
okay, yeah, I don't know if administration wants to answer that right now, or just take it
No,
on.
I'm gonna take one answer now.
Yeah, we'll get you back some information later, okay? Councilor Oshie?
No.
Okay, all right, I've got a motion here that council adjourn regular meeting RM12-2020 at 8 in favor, none against. Thank you, everybody. Good meeting.
Never seen the guys, bring up the,